Justin Timberlake was just arrested in a career-destroying move. The singer was arrested after a driving incident in the Hamptons. As of Tuesday morning, he was still in police custody and is reportedly due in court on Tuesday the 25th of June. This is terrible news for him, considering that he is currently on tour and has 2 scheduled shows in Chicago this weekend, and another 2 in New York City the week of his court hearing. So it seems like a total disaster. But why did this happen? People have already been speculating about the reason for his behavior, and 2 major issues have been brought up. The singer teased an NSYNC reunion at the VMAs, and he kept that rumor going, just to get hype for his first album in 6 years. Everything I thought it was. But even though fans seemed to be interested in an NSYNC reunion, they didn't really care about his album all that much. So the plan completely backfired. His album debuted at number 19 on the Billboard Hot 100, but dropped off the Billboard Hot 200 completely after just 4 weeks. At the same time, his tour is far from selling out. Tickets in all sections are available in almost every city, and the highest price for the best seats can be found for under $900. Then recently, he announced he was canceling this month's concert in Columbia, South Carolina. While no reason was given, some people pointed to slow ticket sales and the fact that fans have outgrown him. One music journalist had summed it up pretty well when they said, "A 6-year break from your mid-30s to your early 40s is a really long time for an artist. Most of Justin Timberlake's fans have aged out of caring about him. It's like the old saying goes, you don't retire, the audience retires you." While that may sound harsh, there is a lot of truth in it. And that's not even getting into the PR nightmare he went through when Britney Spears released her memoir. The Woman in Me was probably the worst thing for Justin's career since the Super Bowl. In what became one of the most talked about parts of the book, Britney spills what is the biggest secret of all. She recalls her days on the Mickey Mouse Club, where she met Christina Aguilera, Ryan Gosling, and Justin, who she later formed a romantic relationship with. She talked about their first kiss as a Janet Jackson song was playing in the background, and the difficult decision she had to make in the year 2000 after learning she was pregnant. She said, "It was a surprise, but for me it wasn't a tragedy. I loved Justin so much. I always expected us to have a family together one day. This would be just much earlier than I'd anticipated." But she said that Justin definitely wasn't happy about the pregnancy. He said they weren't ready to have a baby in our lives and they were way too young. We now understand why sources are saying that Justin was concerned about the memoir. Britney revealed that if the decision had been left up to her alone, she never would have done it. But she only did it because Justin was so sure he didn't want to be a father. Looking back at the experience, she said, to this day, it's one of the most agonizing things she has ever experienced in her life. And fans weren't just upset about the pregnancy confession, but Justin also received a new wave of backlash for using Britney to launch his own career. So back in 2002, he wrote the hit song Cry Me a River about their breakup. The lyrics paint a picture of a relationship that gets ruined because the girl cheats. And to get even, the guy makes sure that she finds out that he's moved on with his life. The girl then gets upset and cries a river because she realized that she screwed up and lost him forever. So the track was written and recorded after a heated phone conversation between Justin and Britney, where she allegedly broke up with him. Justin said that it only took him 2 hours to write the song. In the video, he uses a video camera to record him sleeping with another girl. When his girlfriend comes back in, he sets up the camera so she will see the tape. The actress in the video looks almost identical to Britney Spears, and of course that was intentional. The former couple dated for 2.5 years before they broke up in 2002, and he publicly claimed that she cheated on him with her choreographer, Wade Robson. She eventually hit back at his allegations in 2003 and revealed that Justin was the only guy she'd ever been with. Now with the release of the 2021 documentary Framing Britney Spears, the song has been criticized for its misogynistic undertones. Britney's memoir also drew attention to Justin's cultural appropriation over the years. Thanks to the audiobook, fans' recording of Michelle Williams doing an impression of Justin while narrating the memoir, a clip from the audiobook has gone viral and has almost 17 million views. In the clip, Michelle narrates and recounts the embarrassing moment Britney and Justin ran into R&B singer Ginuwine. She said, "One day Jay and I were in New York, going to parts of town I had never been to before. Walking our way was a guy with a huge blinged out medallion. He was flanked by 2 giant security guards. Jay got all excited and said so loud, 'Oh yeah, for shiz, Ginuwine, what's up homie?' Britney said that Justin wasn't even embarrassed when her assistant started mocking him. In the book, Britney explained that she sometimes thought Justin and his group NSYNC tried too hard to fit in with the hip-hop artists they hung out with. The clip sent internet users into a frenzy, with a lot of people joking about Michelle's hilarious impression of Justin. And it wasn't just Britney that exposed him. He's gotten himself into a lot of controversy over the years, like the time he was caught cheating on his wife, Jessica. So a few years ago, Justin and Alicia Wainwright made headlines when they were spotted holding hands during a night out in New Orleans. The 2 actors were shooting the movie Palmer, which is a drama about an ex-college football star who who returns home after being in prison. The co-stars were photographed together getting very cozy at a bar in Louisiana, sitting at a table, holding hands, and talking to one another. The photos showed Justin, who didn't appear to be wearing his wedding ring, holding hands with the actress under a table and drinking together. At one point, Alicia could be seen resting her hand on the singer's knee, and while he was standing up, putting his arm around her waist. Well, these photos caused a huge scandal because Justin's been married since 2012. The relationship was really being tested, and Justin had to make a public statement the following month, apologizing for his strong lapse in judgment, and claimed that in the photos, nothing happened. The scandal led to multiple speculations about the nature of Justin's relationship with Jessica, but judging from the photos, it was pretty hard to deny that the two of them had been having some kind of affair, though in Justin's case, it wouldn't be completely out of character. And of course, we have to mention the Janet Jackson incident, which is haunting him to this day. The infamous wardrobe malfunction that shook the entertainment world happened on stage during the 2004 Super Bowl halftime show. Nobody could forget when Janet and Justin Timberlake performed Rock Your Body, and as Justin reached the final note, he pulled off a piece of Jackson's costume, which was essentially her bra cup, and flashed an estimated 143 million viewers. According to Janet's publicist, the moment was only meant to reveal her red bra underneath, but a wardrobe malfunction resulted in the entire thing coming off. Viewers were shocked, Janet's career spiraled, and an immediate scandal ensued. Since then, the incident has inspired numerous performances, songs, and TV episodes. In fact, last year, FX and Hulu released a documentary called Malfunction, The Dressing Down of Janet Jackson, which aimed to explore the racial and cultural currents that collided on the Super Bowl stage. Interestingly enough, the stylist who was behind Janet's Super Bowl look, Wayne Scott Lucas, told Page Six that Justin was behind it all because he wanted to upstage Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, and Madonna, who had kissed at the 2003 MTV Video Music Awards just a few months earlier. Now, looking back on that moment, fans feel contempt for the fact that Justin had no problem humiliating one woman to get back at another one. Even then, there were very little repercussions for his actions. It wasn't until 2021, 17 years after the event, that Justin finally went on the record to acknowledge how his past actions hurt Janet Jackson, which, as we know, ended up having catastrophic consequences for her career. In an Instagram post, he wrote, "I've seen the messages, tags, comments, and concerns, and I want to respond. I am deeply sorry for the times in my life where my actions contributed to the problem, where I spoke out of turn, or did not speak up for what was right." He went on to say that he understands that he fell short in these moments, and in many others, and benefited from a system that condones misogyny and racism. Quoted as saying, "I specifically want to apologize to Britney Spears and Janet Jackson, both individually, because I care for and respect these women, and I know I failed." Finally, Justin said he felt compelled to respond, in part because everyone involved deserves better. He then called it a larger conversation that he wholeheartedly wants to be a part of and grow from. But this apology post didn't come out of nowhere. It came after the release of the documentary Framing Britney Spears, which sparked conversations in his role about Britney's downfall when he claimed that she cheated on him. But most people believed that his apology was too little too late.
Number 10. John Mayer. John may be known for spending time with the ladies, but it's not all peaches and cream. The musician was doing an interview with Playboy magazine in 2010, and now I know it involves Playboy, who are notoriously provocative, but even they thought this interview was just a bit too much. John gets into some pretty graphic depictions of things that he wanted to do to Jessica Simpson, using language that cannot be repeated online. He then ventures off the physical intimacy side of things and instead begins to speak about his, and I quote, hood pass, claiming that he had become so popular among black people that he could get away with anything he wanted. And then he called it an N-word pass. Following the interview, fans were beyond upset at his behavior and his attitude towards women. Many turned on John, making a massive dent in his career. Nowadays, this is one of the only things John is remembered for. Well, that and Your Body is a Wonderland, because it's a pretty catchy song.
Next up, we have Billy Joel. When Frank Sinatra was honored at the 1994 Grammys with the Legend Award, his speech seemed to go on and on. But no one expected the broadcast to cut him off mid-sentence and immediately go to commercial. Later, during the ceremony, Billy Joel took a stand. He stopped his performance of River of Dreams intentionally to waste commercial time, saying, "Valuable advertising time going by. Dollars, dollars, dollars." He smirked and carried on.
Number 8. Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey, known for his hilarious personality on and off screen, gave Kat Sadler from E! News and Daily Pop an awkward interview on the red carpet at Harper's Bazaar party in 2017. The interaction started with Jim slowly circling Kat as she attempts to express her confusion and excitement that Jim Carrey was at a Fashion Week event. Was this man known for being an incredible artist, bringing his talents to the fashion world? No, he was just in a mood. By 2017, Jim had made a name for himself as an oddly serious mysterious guy who tended to venture into the realm of energies and universal concepts when he started getting into deep conversations. He started the conversation with, "This is meaningless," and then he continued to say that he wanted to find the most meaningless thing that he could attend that night. The event was a celebration of icons and celebrities, according to Kat, to which Jim said he did not agree, as in he didn't agree with the concept of icons or celebrities. He continues to give a small speech about not believing that people are actually real and that we're a field of energy and that peace lies beyond personality. Sorry, I'm feeling woozy just talking about it. The entire time this interview is taking place, Kat is visibly uncomfortable, just counting down the moment that Jim says something funny or even remotely related to fashion. Instead, he just shares his thoughts, tells her that she has a nice fragrance, and then he walks away. While Jim's career had already started to slow down at that point, the clip became viral and studios were wondering if he was a good fit for any role anymore. Many scripts with his name on it were then rewritten or simply kept to themselves, right up until 2020 when he made a small comeback in the surprisingly fun movie Sonic the Hedgehog.
Next up, we have 21 Pilots. Upon receiving their Grammy for Best Pop Duo Performance for the song Stressed Out at the 2017 Grammys, 21 Pilots walked up on stage to accept the award in their underwear. According to the band, it was fulfilling an old promise that they made to each other to accept their first Grammy in their underwear. Host James Corden followed suit, introducing Ed Sheeran later that night in his boxer briefs as he explained to the audience, "I always told myself that if I ever hosted the Grammys, I would also do it in my underwear." 21 Pilots have had their fair share of controversy. In 2020, Tyler Joseph issued an apology after making a joke about using his platforms, which many of his followers deemed insensitive. He took to Twitter to share 2 photos of himself wearing a pair of white shoes, captioning the post, "You guys keep asking me to use my platforms, feels good to dust these bad boys off." The joke was perceived to be a response to many of the singer's fans who have urged him to use his status and large following to raise awareness of the Black Lives Matter movement and other social issues. "Human rights aren't a joke, but okay," one fan replied. Another commented, "No, that's actually not what we mean. We would like you to speak up on the injustice in this country." A third follower labeled the post, quote, "really tone deaf and insensitive," adding, "You've been known to not like to talk about politics, but are human rights really that political? No, they are not."
Number 6. Megan Fox. Megan has been featured in several films over the years, but it was an interview about her time working with Michael Bay on the Transformers set that canceled her for good. The original live-action Transformers movie came out in 2007 and co-starred Megan and Shia LaBeouf in the leading roles. Now, it was a fun movie on screen, but behind the scenes there was a ton of tension. According to Megan, who had previously worked with Michael on Bad Boys 2, working with Michael was like working for Schmittler. Fun fact, if you put sh in front of someone's name, you can say it online. Loophole. Of course, Michael didn't appreciate being compared to one of the worst men in human history, so many speculated that her being left out of the third movie may have had something to do with the behind-the-scenes drama. She went on to call him bland and claiming that he had no personality or social skills of any kind, which is just rude. When the comments were made public, her career began to slowly suffer. Not only was she written out of the Transformers series, but she was forced to make a public apology and retracted the statements following the massive slew of backlash. She took a few years off, but Michael himself later acknowledged the missteps on both their parts and not only accepted the retraction, but the pair were able to patch things up and work together on the live-action Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movies. Awesome!
Next up, we have Miley Cyrus. Miley has had her fair share of award show moments, like when she grinded on a pole on top of an ice cream cart at the Teen Choice Awards, and when she performed Blurred Lines, dressed as a naked bear. But at this year's Grammys, Miley spoke her honest truth while performing her mega hit song Flowers. Everything was going well in her performance until she got to the chorus. I guess she noticed the audience wasn't singing along, and so she stopped the song saying, "Why are you acting like you don't know the song?" After a moment of silence, she continued, with no one in the audience joining in. Next, we have Trevor Noah. As host of the 2024 Grammys, Trevor had a lot to say. As the music industry continues making sense of music by UMG artists being removed from TikTok earlier this week, on Sunday night during the Grammy Awards, host Trevor Noah called out TikTok during his opening monologue. "Shame on you, TikTok, for ripping off artists. That's Spotify's job," he says. Wow. Nice and honest, I like it.
Number 4. David Letterman. Now, David Letterman has been around for a long time, and while he did eventually get replaced with Stephen Colbert, it was after many years of being extremely odd towards his female guests. There are several examples over the years of David being just a little bit too intimate with his guests, including a time when he would not stop telling Jennifer Aniston how good her legs looked in her dress. He literally told Madonna to go kiss a man in the audience. He called Keira Knightley a lovely offering. He told Dolly Parton that he wanted to see her sweaty. The list goes on. It took way too long for someone to realize that this man was just a bit too open at times, sharing way too much information. One thing he continued to do right up until he retired in 2014 was show revealing or intimate photos of his guests without their knowledge. Like when Emma Watson was forced to explain a wardrobe malfunction after David pulled out a photo from a recent red carpet event. He brushed people's hair, he made dirty jokes, and seriously, this dude was obsessed with legs. In fact, one of the last interviews to ever take place on the show with him was with Jennifer Aniston, and he just sat there complimenting her looks for basically the entire thing. While his career was never destroyed, I thought that it would be worth a mention because this is a list of people who have done some scummy stuff on the air, and David is no exception.
Finally, we have Beyonce. At the 2023 Grammy Awards, Beyonce was missing when it came to accept her award. Viola Davis announced the nominees and revealed that Beyonce had won. However, when the camera panned to the audience, the Break My Soul singer was not there, despite Trevor Noah, who also hosted that year's awards, saying that she was in the crowd moments earlier. After the camera couldn't find Beyonce, it panned back to the stage where two men were standing holding the singer's award. One of the men, one of the writers of the song, said something inaudible into the microphone before ending with, "Beyonce, thanks y'all." Trevor stepped up to the mic and told the confused audience Beyonce is on her way after being stuck in traffic. Beyonce has now equaled the award for most Grammys of all time, he added, stalling until she arrived.
Number 2, Katherine Heigl. Kathy was riding high back in 2007. The former Grey's Anatomy star not only won an Emmy for Best Supporting Actress in a Dramatic Series, but she also began transitioning into the big screen with the success of her first feature comedy, Knocked Up, alongside comedy legend Seth Rogen. Unfortunately, her rise to the tippy top quickly became a free fall into a volcano, following an ill-fated Vanity Fair interview in 2008. In the interview, Katherine made a move that still has people scratching their heads to this day. She openly bashed the film that made her famous, claiming that it painted women as shrew, humorless, and uptight, while also placing blame on Seth Rogen for writing the men as lovable, goofy, and fun. The film still sits at an impressive 89% on Rotten Tomatoes because while she may claim that the project was problematic, the final product was actually a really fun love story filled with some solid jokes, performances, and a great story at its core. Seth felt betrayed by the comments as they never had a fight on set, and it never seemed like she was uncomfortable at any point. These comments, combined with some negativity towards her Grey's Anatomy writers, caused her agents to drop her as a client, and her time in Hollywood quickly came to a screeching halt.
Will Smith's actions at the 2022 Oscars had repercussions no one could have predicted. You had to know we start with this one. The actor was once Hollywood royalty, a big name, the kind of name to draw audiences in, but now he just pushes them away, unfortunately. That slap at the Oscars resulted in a 10-year ban, plus he lost out on future projects. Even projects he was already signed onto, he was reported to have lost or had to have taken like a step back and onto more of like a producer role, just kind of behind the scenes stuff. Then there was the whole thing that happened with his family life because of it. The whole reason the incident happened in the first place was because Chris Rock made a joke about Jada that she didn't appreciate, and Will was, I guess, like protecting her, but Jada later revealed that her and Will weren't even together at the time. The moment, it happened in a room full of the most influential people in the entertainment industry, and everybody had something to say about it after. Celebrities were posting left and right about how they didn't feel safe even if they weren't involved in the incident at all. It's unfortunate, but the actor is now more known for this one action than his entire acting career.
Next is Chevy Chase. Chevy Chase has garnered a reputation for being difficult to work with, as there are countless accounts about him being disrespectful to coworkers, so it shouldn't be that shocking to hear that he's been rude to fans. Actor and comedian Rob Huebel was a longtime fan of Chevy and recounted an experience he had when meeting him for the first time. Chevy was sent to perform with Rob's theater improv group on one occasion, and Rob approached the actor for an introduction and told him about how he was such a big fan. Now, any normal person would be appreciative and thank the fan, but oh no, how did Chevy respond? Well, he slapped Rob. Yep, he tried to make a joke out of it and said, "Can't you see I'm talking to somebody, kid?" But regardless, if he was interrupted and was talking to someone, slapping someone, especially someone who adores you, is just not the move.
One would think Kanye West would have been out of the game from a stunt at the 2009 VMAs, but nope. Turns out making controversial statements a decade later, not always backed up by trustworthy sources, would be the deal breaker. West was caught on camera at the first campaign event he'd had for his failed presidential run, saying some things about history that came off as not true at all. He was heavily criticized for them by his community and those outside of it for the words he said. Since then, he has gone on numerous worrying Twitter rants and made some scary comments about his family, and of course, divorced Kim K. Recently, West did release a new album, but even that had its hardships. The album was put up but then taken down from Apple Music soon after due to copyright issues.
On to Adam Levine. As recently as February 2020, Adam Levine expressed remorse over unprofessional behavior during a concert in Chile. Fans could have called him a jerk for not giving his performance the attention it deserved when he and the rest of Maroon 5 took the stage 15 minutes late for their slotted show, but they didn't. They were happy. But then Adam called out fans for singing along to the band's songs. Yeah, he didn't want them to sing at a concert. But that's not the only criticism fans have of Adam. On Quora, one user posed the question, "Who are the biggest jerks in music?" And the answer surprised many of Maroon 5 and Adam Levine's fans. One critic noted that early on in Maroon 5's initial days of fame, Adam made rude comments about a fan and even his current girlfriend. Adam was giving out autographs and he allegedly told a fan that he didn't give autographs to ugly chicks. Though what he said and how exactly he said it can't necessarily be confirmed, many commenters agreed that it sounded a lot like the Maroon 5 frontman's personality. Now, I've also heard firsthand that at a meet and greet, he called a woman fat. Now that is just plain rude and makes me so angry that he thinks he can treat not only his fans, but women this way.
Miley is back in the game and winning Grammys, but she was once the internet's person to hate. The reason people started to dislike the Hannah Montana star was because she made such a major shift in image, a shift that was much more mature and over the top than anything anyone had seen from her, and people felt uncomfortable. Miley's performance at the MTV Video Music Awards with Robin Thicke back in 2013 was unforgettable, and many even said inappropriate. Miley performed with a nude set on, so if you weren't looking at her very closely, you might mistakenly think she was unclothed, but that wasn't even the thing that people had an issue with during the performance. The big controversy was what Miley did with a foam finger she was performing with. The star made suggestive movements with it, things that are usually not supposed to happen on live TV. Even the inventor of an early version of the foam finger weighed in, saying Cyrus took an honorable icon that is seen in sporting venues everywhere and degraded it. It took a while after the incident for Cyrus's career to recover, but she's now back on top of the world, and one of her more recent performances, the performance of Flowers at the Grammys, has gone viral for the right reasons this time.
Then there's Ellen DeGeneres. Ellen DeGeneres has been exposed for not being as happy and bubbly off-screen as she is on-screen. In 2021, she announced that her talk show was coming to an end after almost 2 decades on the air. News of her departure came after staff members reported a toxic work environment. Employees said they were fired after taking medical leave or bereavement days to attend family funerals. Others said they were also instructed by their direct managers not to speak to Ellen if they saw her around the office. It's also said that Ellen only appears to be bubbly and down to earth on camera, but backstage she is demanding and rude to her staff. Now, a few have even quit because of her behavior, because apparently she explodes at staffers over the tiniest things. Now, more recently, clips have been circulating from her show where she mistreated her guests, the most notably being in 2008 when Mariah Carey was on her show, and Ellen pressured her into confirming her rumored pregnancy by encouraging the singer to drink champagne. Mariah tried to politely decline the drink offer and then pretended to take a sip, leading Ellen to exclaim, "You're pregnant." Now, Mariah spoke out about how uncomfortable this made her feel as she wasn't ready to announce her pregnancy. Now, sadly, Mariah had a miscarriage, which made looking back on that memory on the show even more painful. So yeah, People don't like Ellen.
Matt Rife is another comedian that has lost the majority of his fame. He was super popular on TikTok. Pretty soon, he had a deal with Netflix, and his Netflix special was set to premiere in November of 2023. The premiere is where the trouble started. His special, Natural Selection, opens with a joke about DV. The internet did not appreciate that so-called joke, many people wondering why Matt felt the need to be punching down instead of up. Usually a scandal as big as this prompts people to make a public apology, which Rife did do. He posted an apology link on his Instagram story with the text, "If you've ever been offended by a joke I've told, here's a link to my official apology." But it was a prank. The link actually would send people to a health website, specifically to a page where you can buy special needs helmets. This is real, and no, he still has not apologized. In fact, at a comedy show held after the special aired, Rife acknowledged the situation by saying, "If anybody here has come to a comedy show at a comedy club with even the possibility of being offended by a joke, it's located right outside that exit door over there. Go and see yourself out. No one's gonna stop you." As the controversy was unfolding, there were a bunch of people online weighing in on the issue. One was a little boy who just said that Matt was mean to girls, and Matt decided that this boy was who he wanted to go up against and commented, "Santa Claus isn't real. Your mom buys you presents with the money she makes on OF. Good luck." The comment was deleted, but screenshots, they live forever.
Next up is Chrissy Teigen. Chrissy Teigen was arguably most famous to those in the Twitter sphere for her honest, witty observations and jokes, often leveled at the widely criticized political figures. Now she's gained a multi-million following over the last few years. One of the people who Chrissy had leveled her tweets at years before revealed the dark side to the star's online habits. Courtney Stodden said they first met the model when they were 16 years old, after marrying coach Doug Hutchinson, who was 34 years their senior. Courtney was considered the butt of the joke among others, and Teigen directed her barbs straight at the reality star. In May 2021, Teigen made a statement about the controversy. "Not a lot of people are lucky enough to be held accountable for their past BS in front of the entire world. I'm mortified and sad at who I used to be. I was an insecure, attention-seeking troll. I'm ashamed and completely embarrassed at my behavior, but that's nothing compared to how I made Courtney feel," she wrote on Twitter. But hey, at least she was able to admit to it, but what she did was terrible.
One of the more famous talk show blunders to have ever happened has to be Kelly Osbourne on The View in 2015. This is right around the 2016's election campaign, and a certain candidate is making some charged statements about marginalized groups. The conversation during that 2015 View appearance shifted to talking about this event, and Osbourne says the now famous quote, "If you kick every Latino out of this country, then who is going to be cleaning your toilet?" As many people have pointed out online, you can tell that she said this with confidence. Some people think she said it like she was expecting others to back her up and the audience to applaud. Obviously, none of that happened. Years later, Osbourne revisited the situation and said that her comment that day was the worst thing she's ever done, and that she'd be lying if she didn't hate herself a little bit more each time she sees the video.
And finally, we have Christian Bale. Christian Bale has a bad temper. An audio recording leaked in 2009 of Christian having an outburst towards cinematographer Shane Hurlbert on the set of Terminator Salvation. Now in the audio, he is heard yelling at Shane, who supposedly distracted the actor during a scene, as it appears that he walked in on the shot. Christian became enraged, hitting Shane with F-bombs, as well as threatening to smash his lighting equipment. During a part of the clip, he says, "You are trashing my scene, you do it one effing time, and I ain't walking on this set if you're still hired." Then Christian's former assistant came out with a book and said that Christian is often awful when fans approach him. He'd reportedly lecture little girls about being rude and intrusive until tears streamed down their faces and their parents tugged them away from our table, he said. Also, when another fan sent him a letter at his house.
At number 10, Russell Brand. This man has been slowly exposing himself to the public over the years as his chaotic energy has just gotten worse and worse. Brand has previously gone down in history as being the worst host of the Video Music Awards ever, but now he's going down in history for being an absolutely terrible human being. 4 women have come forward alleging that Brand mistreated them verbally and physically between the years of 2006 and 2014, arguably the height of his career. He strongly denies the allegations, and in a video that he posted himself, the actor claimed that while he was promiscuous, all relationships were consensual. One woman claimed that Russell had started a relationship with her in 2006 while she was still in high school and he was 30. Apparently, they met when Brand bumped into her at the mall. According to the woman, the relationship was meant to be anonymous, with Russell asking her to straight up lie to her parents. He even wrote her a script to keep things smooth. Another woman alleged similar behavior in 2007, but added that he had a massive temper, becoming physical with her a few times. Several more women have spoken about their situations with Brand, all of which were eerily similar and showed that he is a pattern of mistreatment.
Next up is Will Smith. Will Smith was a beloved actor, but the 2022 Oscars changed everyone's mind about him. Chris Rock was on stage presenting an award, and he made a joke about Jada Pinkett Smith and her hair, which her husband Will did not like because Jada has been open about struggling with alopecia. Now, after the joke, Will got out of his seat and got on stage and slapped Chris. He then went back to his seat and continued to yell, "Keep my wife's name out of your effing mouth." A lot of people were confused if this was real or fake, but it was indeed real. Now, due to this incident, Will was banned from the Oscars for 10 years, and it was unclear if Will's projects would get released or if he'd ever be cast again. He then put out a lengthy apology, partly stating, "Violence in all of its forms is poisonous and destructive. My behavior at last night's Academy Awards was unacceptable and inexcusable. I'd like to publicly apologize to you, Chris. I was out of line and I was wrong. I am embarrassed and my actions were not indicative of the man I want to be. I'd also like to apologize to the Academy, the producers of the show, all the attendees, and everyone watching around the world." Now, this incident was all anyone could talk about, and it definitely slowed down his career.
At number 8, Oprah Winfrey. Who would have guessed that the woman once famous for handing out cars on her talk show is being canceled by the world? Why? Well, Oprah made a career-ending mistake when herself and Dwayne Johnson broke the one rule of being a billionaire: don't ask poor people for money. Last week, Winfrey and The Rock announced that they would be starting a relief fund for the victims of Maui wildfires. The People's Fund of Maui was given a solid $10 million to get off the ground, $10 million donated by Winfrey and Johnson combined. So why is it just Oprah getting so much hate online? Well, it's because she has a net worth of roughly $2.8 billion, billion with a B. The internet is collectively furious at Oprah for having the audacity to ask working class citizens for charity when most people can barely afford to put food on their table. The Rock and Oprah donated $5 million each to give the fund a head start, except $5 million to Oprah is like $500 to us. Oprah ended up addressing all the hate online, telling the Daily Mail that she was disappointed in the reaction from the world rather than focus on the good things and the people of Maui. The world was mad that she asked them to give a nickel. Oprah has yet to confirm if she will be donating any more to the fund, but so far it's not looking very promising.
Moving on to Steve Harvey. Steve Harvey hosted the 2015 Miss Universe pageant, but he made a giant mistake. He announced Miss Columbia as the winner, but it was only after Miss Columbia had the crown placed atop her head that Steve retook the stage, sheepishly announcing that he had to apologize. Now, Miss Columbia had been the first runner-up, not the winner. The real winner was Miss Philippines. Now, Steve said the mistake wasn't really his fault though, as when they ran through the show at rehearsal, they would only read two names, the second runner-up and Miss Universe. Steve said a last-minute change to read three names on stage the night of the show created the chaos. Steve said, "Well, in the teleprompter after I announced the second runner-up, the teleprompter said, and the new 2015 Miss Universe is," and the dude in my ear said, "Read the next name on the card, Steve." I looked at the next card, I said Miss Columbia. Fortunately for Steve, the situation provided excellent content for an episode of his daytime talk show, when a year later he invited Miss Columbia herself to receive a formal apology. Now, after this, there were a lot of memes about this incident, but it's honestly just so embarrassing.
At number 6, Danny Masterson. The actor, best known for his role on the sitcom That 70s Show, has been convicted on serious charges of misconduct. 3 women came forward detailing a time when Masterson aggressively took advantage of them. 3 separate incidents took place between 2001 and 2003, but a verdict was not reached until just this year. The first round of investigations actually took place while he was still on That 70s Show, but at the time there wasn't enough physical evidence to take things very far. In 2017, the investigation was reopened and it was reported that he once again being investigated. The women spoke about Masterson's misdeeds and they were eventually able to scrape together enough evidence for a conviction. Another woman came forward in 2017, rounding it up to 4 accusers. It was revealed throughout the proceedings that Netflix had actually tried to dispute the claims of these women as a way to maintain their working relationship with Masterson. Eventually, he was fired from the ranch and, well, everything with his name attached to it. The actor defended himself tooth and nail right up until the final verdict. In the last year, former co-stars like Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis wrote character statements supporting Danny and literally claiming that he was a role model.
Then there's Fergie. Fergie first achieved chart success as part of the hip-hop group The Black Eyed Peas, but when she went solo, her popularity began to fade. Then in 2018, she was invited to perform the national anthem at the 2018 NBA All-Star Game. Now people were excited for her performance to see what she would bring to it, because hey, maybe it could revive her career. But her performance was horrible. Her singing was shaky and weirdly sensual, and due to this, people in attendance could barely contain their laughter, and the clip became insanely viral. She became a laughingstock worldwide, and she apologized saying, "I've always been honored and proud to perform the national anthem, and last night I wanted to try something special for the NBA. I'm a risk taker artistically, but clearly this rendition didn't strike the intended tone. I love this country and honestly tried my best." Now this seemed to be the final nail in the coffin of her singing career, as she really hasn't been seen since. But I can't blame her, that must have been so embarrassing to go through.
At number 4, Colleen Ballinger. Former YouTuber and current demon, Colleen Ballinger has recently been outed as having inappropriate relationships with her young fans. Luckily, nothing went as far as becoming physical, but her involvement in various group chats with fans half her age was extremely inappropriate. Ballinger was best known for her character Miranda Sings, who became so popular on YouTube that she received her own Netflix series. If you haven't seen that, too late, it's been removed now. She was basically messaging her fans to deliver so-called advice when she was really just trying to manipulate them into being her unpaid employees and sending them to bat for her during any kind of drama. Following the backlash, Colleen decided to post an apology online. The only thing was, she did it while playing a ukulele. In response to the cringiest apology of all time, her former fans decided to cancel her for good by reminding the world of a number of inappropriate bits, sketches, and jokes she probably shouldn't have done and certainly should not have been available to children to watch.
Now we have Mariah Carey. Now did this really destroy her career? Not really, but this performance definitely made a dent in it, and it became a new meme. On New Year's Eve 2016, Mariah Carey appeared on the Dick Clark's New Year's Rockin' Eve. Now this was a dumpster fire of a performance to say the least. Mariah's earpiece began to malfunction, causing her to go out of sync with the backing track. Being frustrated, she simply walked around the stage while passive-aggressively making excuses and complaining about the lack of a sound check. Now she didn't even try to carry on with the performance. The dancers continued their choreographed routine while the singer just pouted. Now while it wasn't her fault and anything could go wrong on live TV, it was definitely a bad look ringing in the new year. Anything can happen during a live performance, but Mariah should have handled the situation way better.
At number 2, Justin Roiland. The creator of the adult cartoon comedy series Rick and Morty was on a hot streak at the start of 2023. Rick and Morty had been just renewed for another season. His first-person adventure comedy High on Life was becoming one of the most played games across the country, and oh, then he got arrested for being a jerk. Turns out that this man who made the world laugh was also a man who made women cry. It was revealed that he would be facing 2 separate criminal charges in Orange County, stemming from a domestic incident that took place in 2020 with the woman he was dating at the time. While he denied the allegations at first, several other women came forward to share their stories of mistreatment from Justin, who had apparently been sending them horrific DMs online that varied from pretty tame to the creepiest stuff you've ever heard. Roiland was stripped of his contract with Disney and Hulu, who'd been distributing his series on its streaming services and were funding his most recent projects. Roiland was also replaced on both Solar Opposites and Rick and Morty, with the current news being Dan Stevens is taking his place.
And finally we have Natalia Kills and Willie Moon. Now for those of you who don't know, both Natalia Kills and Willie Moon were judges on the X Factor New Zealand. After a live performance by Joe Irvine, the pair gave a harsh critique to the singer. Natalia accused Joe of copying her husband with his looks by wearing a suit and tie and slicked back hair. She said, "I am disgusted at how much you've copied my husband. From the hair to the suit, do you not have any value or respect for originality? You're a laughingstock. It's cheesy, it's disgusting. I personally found it absolutely artistically atrocious, and I'm ashamed to be here." Now these comments were followed by her husband Willie stating that Joe was like Norman Bates dressing up in his mother's clothing, and that he felt like Joe was going to stitch someone's skin to his face and end the lives of everybody in the audience. Now the live audience and the audience at home were not having this. Celebrities alike rallied behind Joe, and a 70,000 plus signature petition to have the pair fired from the show appeared online. Now in response, the husband and wife were fired mid-season.
First up, we have Jay-Z. This happened recently at this year's Grammy Awards. Jay-Z won the Dr. Dre Global Impact Award at the Grammy Awards on Sunday and called out the Recording Academy for failing to recognize his wife, Beyoncé, with Album of the Year. "I'm just saying, we want y'all to get it right," the Hard Knock Life rapper said. "We love y'all, at least get it close to right. Obviously, it's subjective because it's music and it's opinion based, but some things, I don't want to embarrass this young lady, but she has more Grammys than everyone and never won Album of the Year. So even by your own metrics, that doesn't work. Think about that," he repeated. "The most Grammys, never won Album of the Year. That doesn't work." Beyoncé has been nominated for Album of the Year 4 times, but has lost each time she has been nominated. First to Taylor Swift, then to Beck, then to Adele, and finally to Harry Styles. She currently holds the record for the most Grammy wins in history with 32. Jay-Z went on to cheekily mock the intense emotions that Grammy losers sometimes endure. "Some of you are gonna go home tonight and you feel like you've been robbed," he said. "Some of you may get robbed. Some of you don't belong in the category. When I get nervous, I tell the truth."
Number 9, Paris Hilton. Paris is the originator of the phrase famous for being famous. This woman made headlines many times over the years for a little bit of everything. In 2011, Paris appeared on ABC to discuss her career, personal life, and the recent situations that she had been dealing with involving stalkers. During the interview, she revealed a few things about her life that had previously been speculated, like the fact that she used a higher-pitched baby voice on the show Simple Life, but in real life had a much deeper and more serious tone. But the conversation eventually ventures into uncharted waters. The interviewer asked Paris if she felt that her former friend and protege Kim Kardashian had overshadowed her in the eyes of the media. Paris says nothing, looks to her publicist, and goes to stand up. They almost wrapped the interview entirely, but eventually things simmered down and they were able to clear things up. However, the moment stuck with fans of Hilton immediately and begged the question, why is she so uncomfortable to talk about this, and is it because it's true? Well, it turns out that the world answered that question for her, as Kim's show, Keeping Up with the Kardashians, made it big, and Paris Hilton's show was cancelled after 1 season.
Now let's talk about Milli Vanilli. In a first for the Grammys, the National Academy of Recording Arts and Sciences rescinded Milli Vanilli's 1990 Best New Artist Award after it was revealed that the duo did not sing at all, did not sing any of the vocals on their album All or Nothing, including their mega hit Girl You Know It's True. That is not the kind of history that any artist wants to make. I hope revoking this award will make the industry think long and hard before anybody ever tries to pull something like this again, the Recording Academy president said at the time. Seemingly, it has. If you don't know the whole story, let me recap. The German-French pop duo barnstormed through European charts with their first single, Girl You Know It's True. The song hit the US airwaves in March later that year with stratospheric impact. Their debut album sold over 8 million copies and spawned 3 #1 singles. It stayed in the top 10 for the rest of the year. Young fans, mainly women, screamed along to Rob Pilatus and Fabrice Morvan's tight choreography and blatant eye candy. All of that was overshadowed and then swept into the dustbin of pop history by disgrace. By the time Milli Vanilli accepted the Grammy Award for Best New Artist in 1990, many in the music business suspected something was afoot. That November, Farian, one of the members, revealed in a press conference that the duo never sang on any of their recordings and lip-synced their performances. Wow. Radio stations stopped playing all their songs and fans destroyed their records, as well as the Grammys rescinding their award for the only time ever in history.
Number 7, Joaquin Phoenix. Joaquin is a very eccentric man, and he's genuinely a really just wonderful performer. Her is a weird dramatic movie that everyone should definitely see at least once. While doing press for a film in 2009, Joaquin was making an appearance on the David Letterman show when David noticed the actor had drastically changed since his last appearance on The Tonight Show. He was wearing sunglasses, he had spawned a big beard and long hair, and it sounded like he was chewing gum the entire time. When David asked Joaquin if he was doing alright, he responded with a muffled, "Yeah, I'm okay," in grand Joaquin fashion. This pattern continued as David goes over his accolades and discusses the announcement Joaquin had made a few weeks prior that he was quitting the acting world forever. It turns out that he was planning to shift his focus into the music world, specifically hip-hop, wishing to be a rapper. Does that make sense? After roughly 10 minutes of screen time, the interview wraps up with sarcasm and a clip from his new film, Two Lovers. Following the interview, many were concerned that Joaquin was maybe under the influence of something, or maybe just he was under anesthesia because he was so quiet and dark and anyway. But it turns out that he was attempting to perform a spoof. According to Joaquin, the entire incident was staged to promote another film that was in the works called I'm Still Here, where the character in the film acts in a very similar manner. Despite the reveal of this being a staged interview, it only made Joaquin look like a wacky whack job.
Next up, we have Kanye West. At the 2015 Grammys, Kanye nearly went on stage after Beck won Album of the Year. Everybody thought he was joking, maybe making a reference to his infamous 2009 VMAs moment when he jumped on stage and told Taylor Swift that she didn't deserve her award. But this time, he wasn't joking. Although he didn't take the mic this time around, he shared his thoughts on Beck's win after the show, saying, quote, "All I know is if the Grammys want real artists to keep coming back, they need to stop playing with us. We ain't gonna play with them no more. Beck needs to respect artistry and he should have given his award to Beyonce. And at this point, we're tired of it," Kanye said, with his wife Kim K at his side. He continued, "Because what happens is when you keep on diminishing art and not respecting the craft and smacking people in the face after they deliver monumental feats of music, you're disrespectful to inspiration, and we as musicians have to inspire people who go to work every day and they listen to that Beyonce album and they feel like it takes them to another place."
Number 5, Jesse Eisenberg. Jesse may not be the busiest bee that he once was, but that's probably because when he's off camera, he's a little stingy with the details. While doing an interview with Romina Puga for her online series Say My Name, Jesse was promoting his new film, Now You See Me. From the moment the camera rolls, Jesse is just obviously annoyed with the situation and with Romina herself. When she refers to Morgan Freeman as Freeman, he asks if she's on like a baseball team with him or something. What's wrong with referring to someone by their last name, huh? Eisenberg continued to poke fun at Romina as she attempted to do some sleight of hand magic, accidentally revealing some scribbles written on her palm. Jesse berates her for being so forgetful that she had to write things down on her hand and then asks her not to refer to Morgan Freeman as Freeman again. When she asks Eisenberg to do a card trick he learned on set, he compared Romina to the comedian Carrot Top, who's universally panned as a terrible comedian. If you're watching this, I'm really sorry, Carrot Top. Also, Carrot Top watches my videos? When the trick is done, Romina doesn't play along, further frustrating Jesse beyond belief. What's funny about this interview is it actually impacted both people involved. While Jesse continues to work, it's in a much smaller capacity, and his hits are few and far between. Meanwhile, Romina received lots of flack for delivering such a bad interview that she eventually stopped doing the show altogether.
Next up, we have Taylor Swift. Now, Taylor has had over a decade of going to the Grammys, so let's talk about two awkward moments. First up is more recent. At this year's Grammys, Celine Dion presented the award for Album of the Year to Taylor Swift. This was a huge moment for Celine as this is her first public event since the announcement of her illness, stiff person's syndrome. You'd think Taylor would respect the person giving her the award, but no. Taylor got on stage, hugged every single person on there except for Celine Dion. She also didn't make eye contact with her while taking the award. Yikes. I guess there's unknown beef between the two megastars. Next, we have the famous red carpet interview from the 2015 Grammy Awards. To refresh your memory, the exchange unfolded while Swift spoke with Entertainment Tonight reporter Nancy O'Dell about her dress. Things took an awkward turn when O'Dell insinuated about her much talked about dating life. As the camera does a full take on Taylor's dress, the reporter says, quote, "I just wanted to show the legs because as I was telling you ahead of time, time, you're going to walk home with more than maybe just a trophy tonight. I think lots of men. The singer appears to shoot Odell a death stare before replying, "No, I'm not gonna walk home with any men tonight. I'm gonna go hang out with my friends and then I go home to the cats."
Number 3. Robert Pattinson. Now, I will be using the term destroyed loosely here, as this incident did destroy his reputation, but he was eventually able to make a comeback. In 2018, while promoting the Twilight sequel New Moon, Robert made an appearance on the Tyra Banks show alongside his co-star Taylor Lautner. Now, things are going smooth until something takes Tyra over. She tells Robert that she wants him to bite her right on the neck, like a vampire. Well, Rob hesitates for about 3 seconds and then chomps down on Tyra for a moment. The clip is lighthearted and Tyra is fueled with joy, but according to members of the production team, Summit Entertainment was not happy. Robert was scalded by the director and his team of agents who had not given Robert the green light to bite a woman's neck on television even if she literally asked him to do it. This caused a lot of personal issues for the people on the Twilight team, as they wanted their film to be seen as a serious dramatic piece, yet Robert was playing vampire for fun with Tyra Banks. As I said, this interview did impact his career, but in a different way. As the Twilight movies continued, Robert was offered small roles here and there, but thanks to this interview with Tyra, he was no longer some young-faced actor the studio could just manipulate. He was Robert. His career eventually picked up outside of the young adult book world, and he is now a very bankable man in Hollywood.
Our next celebrity is Nicki Minaj. In Nicki's 2012 Grammys performance, people were, let's just say, confused. Her performance of Roman's Revenge was confusing and super bizarre. For those who don't know, Roman is Nicki's British alter ego. During the first part of her performance, she was pretending to be Roman while confessing her sins to a priest. While Nicki may think her Roman character is interesting, most of the population does not. In fact, most people in the audience just assumed Roman was Nicki rapping in a British accent. She falsely assumed that people would understand the story behind her performance. Most people questioned what was happening at the time, and the performance was a lot to take in. Besides being difficult to understand, Nicki was full of manic energy and really difficult to watch. Many found the Catholic Church imagery to also be offensive, and it was obvious that she lip-synced most of her performance.
And at number 1, Kanye West. Kanye was slowly going mad in the eyes of the public way back in 2010. As the years went by, he made more and more appearances on TV, but it wasn't until 2018 where his political beliefs got him heated on Jimmy Kimmel Live. When Jimmy asked Kanye how he felt about the response to his decree that he was all for President at the time Donald Trump, he was largely criticized. He defends his statements by claiming that he did not have to conform to some united mindset and that he was a little bit upset at the backlash, but that a part of him kind of enjoyed the hate. He then suggested that the world was in a simulation, claiming that it's filled with unpaid actors. The over 20-minute interview is filled with metaphors, the concept of love, and a comparison of himself to the Son of God. This interview was only a short time after his anti-Semitic tweets were circulating the internet. Ye even makes a joke about the anxiety of asking his publicist to appear on the show. He was fairly calm in his delivery of his opinions, but he made sure his opinions were known.
Starting off, we have Madonna. Now in 2015, Madonna was in Manchester for her Rebel Heart tour, but fans were left unimpressed as they kept waiting for the star. Doors opened at 6:30 p.m. with Madonna expected to start her show at 9 p.m., but fans were soon tweeting about their long wait after they were reportedly told that the concert wouldn't end until 11:30 p.m. Now Madonna was defending her lateness though when she did eventually make it to the stage, launching an angry rant after being booed. "I don't like to be late, by the way, alright? And all you blanks who keep complaining about it can shut the F up," she shouted. "I'm not back there eating chocolate, filing my nails, and getting my extensions done, alright?" She added before explaining that the delay was due to a malfunction with the video for the gig. "We had no video and we had to wait until we could reboot. No selfish diva reason. If you diva blanks want to keep complaining about it, don't come to my show," she said. Now some concert goers reportedly walked out of the show before Madonna even took the stage, with many angry about the late finish and worrying about being able to get home from the venue. Now besides this, Madonna has been known to push people out of her way when passing by, and she asked Peter Andre, a supporting act during her Australian tour, "Am I supposed to know you?" when And Cher has gone on record to confirm Madonna was extremely rude when she was invited to Cher's home with her then husband, Sean Penn.
JLo's new documentary and her behavior at the Met Gala have many people choosing to let the star go for good. JLo has a history of being rude on camera, at least that's what some people have gathered from videos that have gone viral on various social media sites. She also allegedly has a reputation among service workers to not treat them very well and even retract a large tip should her husband, Ben Affleck, leave one. This is unconfirmed, of course, but multiple people have shared similar stories online. Now the public's attention is on a video of JLo at this year's Met Gala. In the video, you can see JLo ascending the Met Gala steps right beside the interviewers positioned on the sidelines. These interviewers, they are ready with their questions and ready to capture answers with their cameras. Anika Reed was one of the interviewers on the side. She is famous on TikTok with over 38,000 followers. Those 38,000 followers and more were graced with a clip of JLo that night, and the clip was quickly torn apart. In the video, you can hear Anika ask who JLo is wearing, and with barely a glance to the side, JLo says a quick scaparelli before continuing up the steps. Those who viewed the video did not appreciate the singer's actions, many saying the interaction was rude. When JLo is compared to other celebs that night, she does admittedly appear a little bit colder. Other celebs answered Anika's questions with a big smile or at least more than one word. The JLo video currently has over 17 million views on TikTok. JLo's new documentary, The Greatest Love Story Never Told, is digging a deeper hole for the performer. The documentary is all about JLo creating her movie, and that movie is music-based, so there is dancing. JLo wanted the best of the best to choreograph that dancing. She wanted Derek Hough. The problem was Derek Hough was unavailable because he was in a wedding, his wedding. On camera, when JLo found out he couldn't come, even when she found out the reason, she still insisted on contacting him and even made a point to say that they would only need him for a few days. Thankfully, no weddings were moved, but filming dates were. Hough revealed in an interview that Lopez worked around him and not the other way around.
Now let's talk about Gwyneth Paltrow. Gwyneth Paltrow has her own company called Goop, which is a wellness and lifestyle brand. In 2019, Goop had a UK wellness summit where fans paid $6,000 to meet her. Now that's just an insane amount to begin with, but with paying that much, you'd assume that you'd have a really good experience, right? Well, not for these fans. Those who attended said that Gwyneth hardly made appearances, and when she did, she was surrounded by security. One attendee said Gwyneth acts like she's a health goddess, but actually she's a pretentious, greedy extortionist. She had a ton of security, she was unapproachable, she did the minimum, a few fireside chats with Twiggy and Penelope Cruz, then she put on her Birkenstocks and snuck out. I was a huge fan of Gwyneth, now I feel like I've lost my faith in God. Those at the event that weekend were urged to book rooms through Goop at $1,300 for 2 nights at the Kimpton Fitzroy London Hotel, but some of them later discovered that rates that weekend started at $250 a night. Now, safe to say that a lot of fans felt scammed and betrayed, and I can't blame them.
Janet Jackson and Justin Timberlake's Super Bowl performance was incredibly career damaging, but only for one of them. During their halftime performance, Janet was supposed to do a big costume reveal. All Justin Timberlake had to do was rip off a piece of her shirt to reveal like a bralette. However, he managed to rip off everything, and Jackson was exposed to the thousands of fans in the stadium and millions watching at home. Somehow, the after effects were worse than the moment though. Jackson took all the heat for the mistake, and Justin managed to pretty much walk free. Janet Jackson later went on to tell the public what was supposed to happen, that her goal was not to expose herself to all of America, but lots of people were still skeptical. Her music was blacklisted from radio stations, her career took a major hit and has never fully recovered, which sucks because she is super talented and now has to deal with all of that while dealing with the fact that millions of people saw her in that vulnerable state. She told USA Today that the situation was truly embarrassing. The general public is still divided about whether or not this whole thing was planned or not, so let me know in the comments what you think.
Now we have Justin Bieber. Justin Bieber grew up in the spotlight, and although he has a lot of fans, he also has a lot of enemies. He's known for canceling meet and greets and acting erratically in public. When a few fans straight up asked him for a hug, he refused. Now he reportedly spat on fans who were beneath his hotel room, although his representative claimed that he didn't spit on anyone and that there were no fans below the balcony. Then one time when a fan tried to snap a selfie with Justin, he told her that her lack of respect made him sick. Now he also yelled at fans for talking crying during a 2016 concert. And more recently, on December 5th, 2022, Justin and his wife Haley were seen walking to their vehicle in New York. While walking to their van, there was paparazzi and a fan there. The fan was holding a paper and pen, wanting Justin's autograph, and said, "Will you make me the best grandmother ever?" Now, in a rude tone, Justin replied, "That's not going to happen today," and proceeded to get in the car. Safe to say, Justin isn't grateful for all the love he's received over the years from fans.
Actually, no, that's not the truth, Ellen. You were invited. The words that caused the downfall of one of the most famous talk show hosts in history. Dakota Johnson visited the Ellen set that day for what was supposed to be a routine interview, but left having made a career catch fire. Ellen is getting on her case for not receiving an invitation. Only that wasn't true. Dakota was quick to point out that Ellen was in fact invited, and that she even made a point to invite Ellen this year. See, this same situation had happened before, only Dakota actually didn't invite Ellen the year before. So this time, Dakota was ready to fire back. After this moment, people started looking at Ellen with a magnifying glass. They started noticing how she would subtly insult guests, make guests uncomfortable to the point of crying, scare guests that expressed they did not want to be scared. Then stories from people that worked on the Ellen show started coming out. People were claiming that the talk show host was not as kind as she claimed to be. Pretty soon, Ellen lost all public favor and has not been able to gain it back.
Moving on to James Corden. In 2022, James Corden received a temporary ban from a New York restaurant because of the way he treated staff. The owner, Keith McNally, took to Instagram to publicly announce the ban to his 88,000 followers, saying that James Corden was the most abusive customer to my Balthazar servers since the restaurant opened 25 years ago, and going on to share two managers' reports from when Corden had visited. Now, the most recent was from October 2022, and it explained how Corden had reacted to the restaurant making a mistake with his wife's order, saying James Corden began yelling like crazy to the server, "You can't do your job, you can't do your job. Maybe I should go into the kitchen and cook the omelet myself." Honestly, James, maybe you should have, and then you'd understand what it's like to work in a fast-paced, high-end restaurant.
Colleen Ballinger destroyed her career in the time it would take you to perform a self-written song on the ukulele. I know that was a really specific measure of time, but that was what she did. Colleen was a really popular YouTuber from like 2010 to 2023. She also had a Netflix special, and her YouTube was mainly known for posting videos using the character Miranda Sings. The Sings persona is a satire of bad singers with big egos, which the irony is hilarious. The character was incredibly popular on YouTube and on Vine when that was a thing. Her career took off. Her audience was mainly younger, and she did not always behave super appropriately with these younger fans. As early as 2020, allegations were coming out about Colleen creating an inappropriate relationship with fans, but everything really came crashing down in 2023. More allegations were coming out, screenshots were being shared, and pretty soon Colleen's live gigs and guest appearances were being cancelled left and right. Colleen decided the way to address this very serious situation was to defend herself by singing on the ukulele. Why did she choose to sing? I'm so glad you asked. She revealed that she was advised by her team to not speak on the issue, but they didn't say she couldn't sing. The video wasn't received well. A few months later, she posted a speaking apology for the song, but people were pretty much done with her at that point. She's still vlogging, just not to as big of an audience.
Then there's Jon Hamm. Kathy Griffin has been quite outspoken about her encounters with rude celebrities and isn't shy about calling them out. In her book, Kathy Griffin's Celebrity Run-Ins, My A to Z Index, she explained that Jon Hamm is one of the rudest people she's ever met. "You'll never convince me to like Jon Hamm," she wrote. "The vibe I've always gotten from him is cold and somewhat disrespectful towards me. I'm suggesting he's one of those hot guys who's mildly funny, but actually thinks he's comedian level funny." Now, she recounted a time where he showed up at a dinner party and said, "Hammy showed up, he even said to me, 'What are you doing here?' I said, 'What are you doing here?' And later on, when she was talking to fellow actor Jack Nicholson, an intoxicated Jon reportedly started whispering in her ear. First it was, 'You know your Emmy isn't a real Emmy,' and then he whispered, 'You're so old.' Now, that's just strange behavior all around."
The most recent person to ruin their career on camera would have to be Harrison Butker of the Kansas City Chiefs. The football player has been making headlines for a few days now for the speech he made at a graduation. The speech was centered around outdated ideas on how women should act in society and mean-spirited comments about various marginalized communities. Those defending what the football player said usually bring up the fact that he was making a speech at a Catholic school known for similar views sometimes. However, that argument falls through because the founding institution of the school has now publicly denounced his speech. In a statement posted to their Facebook page, the sisters wrote, "The Sisters of Mount St. Scholastica do not believe in Harrison Butker's comments in his 2024 Benedictine College commencement address represent the Catholic Benedictine Liberal Arts College that our founders envisioned and in which we have been so invested. Instead of promoting unity in our church, our nation, and the world, his comments seem to have fostered division." Starting off with one of Braun's most popular discoveries ever, Justin Bieber. Braun and Bieber had been working together for almost 15 years. Braun was the one who discovered the singer when he was just posting covers on YouTube, so it came as quite a shock when fans found out that Justin had quietly split from Braun's management. First, it was reported that Bieber was simply on the lookout for new management. There were also numerous rumors that the two men hadn't even spoken to each other for months. Reps of both of them adamantly denied the rumors and confirmed Justin was still under a contract lasting until 2027. However, a day before Scooter announced his retirement, a rep for Bieber confirmed that they were no longer working together. Any celebrity leaving their long-term management has gotta hurt, but having it be one of the biggest pop stars of the last decade, that has got to sting. Another pretty major departure from Scooter's label was made by Ariana Grande. Grande and Braun started working together in 2013. He was there from her very first album, Yours Truly, until the end of last year. That's almost a decade. Almost, because that decade allegedly was split up because of quite a few breaks. It's rumored that Ariana had fired and then rehired Braun's management team multiple times. There was a confirmed split that happened in 2016, but other than that, it's pretty much just all rumors. Grande officially parted ways with Braun in December of last year, moving to Good World Management, though there are still connections between Rem Beauty, her beauty brand, and Braun and his company HYBE. A source close to the singer shared that Ariana and Braun have parted ways because Ariana has simply outgrown him and is excited to go in a different direction. There are some rumors floating around that there might be more to the story though. Allegedly, Ariana wasn't too happy with Braun when he didn't step up to help with all the drama surrounding Ariana's divorce from Dalton Gomez and new romance with her Wicked co-star Ethan Slater. That was certainly a messy situation celebrity gossipers couldn't get enough of, so it's no wonder she was also allegedly annoyed that her management team didn't step up to the plate. Demi Lovato, another famous name that has parted ways with Scooter after working with him for almost 4 years. This comes as a surprise considering Lovato has spoken so highly of Braun in the past. Lovato once expressed that they were incredibly happy that Braun was their new manager and told a story about how Scooter had given them one of the best birthdays. The singer explained that their previous manager controlled a lot of what Lovato ate, so much so that they never received a real birthday cake. On The Ellen Show in 2020, Lovato shared the story, saying, "For many years, I didn't even have a birthday cake. I had a watermelon cake, where you cut your watermelon into the shape of a cake and you put fat-free whipped cream on top, and that was your cake." Continuing, saying, "I just really wanted a birthday cake. I have a new team and Scooter Braun, my manager, gave me the best birthday cake. I spent it with Ariana Grande, who was one of my good friends, and we had just the best birthday, and I just remember crying because I was finally eating cake with a manager that didn't need anything from me and that loved me for who I am and supported my journey." So it sounds like a really nice birthday, and I'm glad Demi got to have that moment after so many years. It seemed like the pair had a good relationship, so why did Demi feel the need to part ways with Braun? A source close to the singer shared some insight with Billboard, saying it was time for Lovato to go in a new direction. Even though she was thankful for her time with SB Projects, she does not yet have new management, though conversations are taking place. Ariana and Demi left right around the same time, a couple months apart towards the end of last year, prompting many raised eyebrows. Todrick Hall began working with Scooter Braun in the early 2010s, and it apparently was a horrible experience. The singer has since openly come out saying that Braun is evil, and Hall believes that Braun is also homophobic. These major accusations were made on Hall's Twitter in 2019. The tweet in question reads as follows: "For those asking, I left Scooter Braun a long time ago. I am saddened by this news but not shocked. He is an evil person whose only concern is his wealth and feeding shaming his disgusting ego. I believe he is homophobic, and I know from his own mouth that he is not a Swift fan. I truly hope justice is served and that my friend's music will fall into the hands of a better human. So that tweet, it was prompted by the news that Scooter had bought Hall's friends, Taylor Swift's entire music catalog, but the tweet does highlight that Hall seemed to have had a very negative experience working with Braun. It seems Madison Beer had a similar experience to Ariana Grande when it comes to working with Scooter. I'm referring to when, Ariana was in the hot water surrounding her romantic life and her new beau Ethan Slater, and Scooter allegedly did not step up to help. Turns out Madison Beer had a similar problem. Some personal and private photos of Madison Beer were leaked on the internet, and it seems Braun again didn't step up in the way he was needed. A source close to the singer said, as soon as something bad happened, Braun jumped ship. She had been working with Braun since 2013, but before Madison Beer could drop her debut album Life Support, they had parted ways. Madison Beer herself has spoken on her time working with the music manager, claiming that she felt that there was a false narrative at play in her career. She claimed she felt she didn't have a say and that Braun made her feel like she was a little girl who didn't know what she was talking about. The singer said, I hold value, and if you can't see it and don't want me to have a voice, I am out. There are times where I haven't felt heard, and I think I won't back down. I don't care how big and scary you are. If you're the head of a label or a president, I will not be demeaned. And she has since found new management. Colombian singer J Balvin has also parted ways with Braun. This happened in May of this year. The superstar chose to sign with Jay-Z's Roc Nation instead. Roc Nation has spoken on J Balvin's behalf on why he went with them, saying the singer is looking to mentors who went from artists turned moguls like Jay-Z and Pharrell. J Balvin's goal is to inspire other Latinos to dream big and work hard to uplift themselves and their communities. This split from Scooter came as a shock to fans at the time, since Braun had seemed so excited to work with Balvin in the first place. When Braun had signed him, he called him an incredible talent and a top global act with an amazing work ethic. Singer of Call Me Maybe will no longer be calling Scooter Braun. It was reported recently that Jepsen had parted ways from the manager, but it turns out that might not be the whole truth. Many people assumed that since Jepsen was listed on Braun's company website, she was currently being managed by him, but that is not the case. Apparently, Jepsen parted ways with Braun back in 2016. Other sources claim the pair worked together simply from 2012 to 2015. Either way, their working relationship, it was short-lived. A big reason why the pair even started working together likely has to do with one of Braun's first and most popular clients, Justin Bieber. Bieber had tweeted out that 2011's Call Me Maybe was possibly the catchiest song he'd ever heard. His fan base did the rest. It really is one of the catchiest songs in history, and likely the connection to Bieber is what secured Jepsen's contract with Scooter. Justin ended up working with Scooter longer than Jepsen did though, and that might have something to do with the fact that after Call Me Maybe, Jepsen hasn't really touched that level of success again, despite releasing more incredible music. Braun had spoken on this puzzling lack of attention, even taking some of the blame, saying, I think that I tried everything and it falls on me. I didn't get it done for her. I didn't get the success I wanted. Maybe I didn't push hard enough when I thought I was. Jepsen has since found new management. When Cody Simpson debuted, he had all the potential to become the next Justin Bieber. He was another sweet kid with a great voice, and yet he never was able to reach that same level of fame. Of course, we can't blame him. He signed to his first label when he was only 13, Atlantic Records, and his manager at the time was none other than Scooter Braun. While Simpson did generate a following worldwide, he never quite reached the level of success other clients of Scooter's did. In 2015, Simpson performed an intimate show where he shared with the crowd what he had reflected on since leaving his label, and some of his comments don't make his management or the label look too good. The singer said, "This year, I said peace out to my record label who I've been working with for 5 years. I got signed in New York City on the day of my 13th birthday, so I spent the last 5 years as a teenager growing up and not really knowing what was going on." He went on to say he was too nice to say no to anything, but when he turned 18, he built courage up and became self-aware and had a realization that he strayed from his roots and how he grew up. Finishing with, "I had to kind of just pull the plug and go and do my own thing, so that's what I'm doing now." He is certainly doing his own thing. He has actually left music altogether, becoming a competitive swimmer. Katy Perry has had a small hand in the downfall of Scooter Braun. She and Taylor Swift had a long-standing feud that was officially announced to be over in Taylor's You Need to Calm Down music video a few years ago. Since then, the two women have been very supportive of each other, publicly and behind the scenes. When it came out that Scooter had bought Taylor's masters, Katy was quick quick to voice her support for her friend. A petition had been going around titled "Make Taylor Swift Re-Release Her 6 Albums," and Perry commented on it saying, "I stand with Taylor, stay strong my friend." The petition did end up coming true, of course. Speaking of the Bad Blood singer, of course we are going to finish off this video with the one, the only, the woman that probably did the most damage to Scooter's career, Taylor Swift. Taylor and Scooter have been feuding for years, but their feud really got the public's attention back in 2019 when it was revealed that Scooter purchased Taylor's masters. Swift left a long letter to her fans on her social media accounts in which she explained her side of the story. She claimed that Braun had bullied her for years and that never in her worst nightmares did she imagine the buyer of her masters would be Scooter. Swift brought up Scooter's involvement with Kanye West's song Famous and its music video, the video that Swift did not consent to having a life model made of her nude body. She also wrote, "Anytime Scott has heard the word Scooter Braun escape my lips, it was when I was either crying or trying not to," driving the point home at just how much she would rather have had the buyer be literally anyone else. This deal was a large reason as to why Swift started her re-recording journey, and we all know how well that has worked out for her and how detrimental it has been for Scooter. Plus, even if you remove the financials from the equation, he is still doing poorly considering Swift's fan base is one of the biggest in the world. When she calls Swifties to fight for her, they can and will. This situation has proven that not all publicity is good publicity.
Now starting off, we have Janet Jackson. Janet Jackson was the Super Bowl performer in 2004. Now although being the halftime performer is supposed to boost your career as millions of people are watching your performance, the complete opposite happened to Janet, which was just unfortunate. Now during her performance, she brought out Justin Timberlake as a guest. He sang the lyric, "I'm gonna have you naked by the end of this song," and then he tore open her costume, exposing her right breast to 140 million viewers. Now in general, this is just embarrassing, but the media had a field day with it. Now the incident was referred to as Nipplegate by the media. The FCC received more than 500,000 complaints about the broadcast, CBS was fined $550,000, and then the NFL was asked to refund the $10 million that they had been given to the halftime show sponsor. Now this incident also affected Janet outside of the Super Bowl, as she was not allowed to attend the Grammy Awards that year and was forced to withdraw after being scheduled as a presenter. Then Janet's album was blacklisted by several radio stations and music channels. She was also then asked to resign from the biographical film of singer and activist Lena Horne. Janet issued an apology and said that the incident was accidental, but some people never forgave her for a simple mistake.
At number 9, Jonah Hill. Unfortunately, it would appear that the once funny man turned Oscar nominee is really a jerk. Recently, a news article broke of his ex-girlfriend, Sarah Bradley, revealing evidence that Hill was emotionally damaging towards her during their relationship. The couple first got together in 2021, meeting on the beach as she was a surf instructor. According to a series of texts between Sarah and Jonah, it's obvious that he is manipulative. He told Sarah to remove any photos of her in a bathing suit, which was a lot of them due to her being a surf instructor. When she did that, he told her it was a good start, but she didn't seem to get his point. He then told her, "It's not my place to teach you. I've made my boundaries clear. You refuse to let go of some of them, and you've made that clear, and I hope it makes you happy." People felt that his boundaries were closer to ridiculous demands, and in another screenshot, Hill explained his conditions for maintaining their relationship, including stating that he didn't want Sarah surfing with men, aka her job. He wrote a massive list of boundaries and rules that were just clearly him trying to control everything Sarah did.
Now let's talk about Kelly Osbourne. Kelly Osbourne was a guest co-host on the talk show The View in 2015. Now this would prove to be a mistake, as she would never be invited back. Responding to Donald Trump's racist description of Mexican immigrants, Kelly was trying to make a point asking, "If you kick every Latino out of this country, then who is going to be cleaning your toilet, Donald Trump?" Now immediately after making the remark, the other co-hosts were taken aback and tried to stop Kelly from speaking further, but she continued, in the sense that you know what I mean. Now this moment was just embarrassing, but that phrase was then actually turned into a meme. Now before Kelly could continue on, she was interrupted by co-host Rosie Perez, who is of Puerto Rican descent. Rosie said Latinos are not the only people doing that, and Kelly quickly jumped in stating, "No, I didn't mean it like that, come on, I would never mean it like that. I'm not a part of this argument. Now this left a lot of viewers and the host shocked and disgusted. Kelly apologized for the whole ordeal, but it was just bad. Now Kelly spoke out about the incident in Rolling Stone this year and clarified her comments, saying this whole country is built on immigrants, and if you stop people from coming into this country who do the jobs that make this country exist and thrive and flourish, who's going to do all the jobs that you don't want to do yourself? She said now. It just came out so wrong. She also added, it hurt a lot of people, and that to me is by far makes it the worst thing I've ever done. I realize that I'm not great on live TV and that words are so powerful.
At number 7, Drew Barrymore. The actress and now talk show host made headlines last week when she announced when her very popular show, The Drew Barrymore Show, would return to air despite there being a massive writer's strike in Hollywood at the moment that a majority of celebs have shown their support towards. The Charlie's Angels star claimed that the move was not intended to make light of the current situation, but rather as a way to create a safe environment to discuss the difficult topics. She posted a video to Instagram apologizing for all the pain the decision had clearly caused people. The writers who worked on her show before the strike were literally standing outside of CBS studios with picket signs. The internet called her a number of different insults and asked that she be fired from the show altogether. Well, apparently Drew heard everyone's cries and decided to keep the show off air for now. While she made the right move in the end, it may be too little too late.
Now we have Robin Thicke and Miley Cyrus. Robin Thicke had been in the industry for years, but he didn't become a household name until his song Blurred Lines in 2013. Now the track received a good amount of criticism for its questionable lyrics and its racy music video. But things really flew off the rails when he performed it with Miley Cyrus at the MTV Video Music Awards. Now Miley was trying to break out of her Disney shell and show people that she was more than that, but her performance rubbed people the wrong way. On stage, Miley ripped off her clothes, so she was wearing nothing but a nude bra and underwear. She continued to stick out her tongue and twerk, this time on Robin, and rubbed his crotch with one of those foam #1 fingers. Now it was a mess of a performance and a lot of parents were outraged at the former Disney star. Now it immediately became an internet sensation and was widely criticized for being way too crass and raunchy. Now for a while it effectively killed Robin's career, and the parents of Miley's fans were not impressed with the star.
At number 5, Jada Pinkett Smith. Jada was well known for a long time, mostly as Will Smith's wife, but also for her occasional acting roles. These days she's known as a disgruntled talk show host. For a few years, Pinkett Smith hosted a talk show online called Red Table Talk, where she would invite guests to come on so they could discuss various topics, from upcoming projects to the man she was dating while her and Will were on not so good terms. The show was known for getting a little too deep into Jada's personal life, often making the viewers and her guests very uncomfortable, revealing details that nobody asked for. The company she worked for eventually decided to shut down their streaming, and her show would suffer. The show may have also been canceled due in part to her husband smacking Chris Rock in the face.
Moving on to Sinead O'Connor. In 1992, Sinead O'Connor was a performer on Saturday Night Live to perform an a cappella rendition of Bob Marley's song, War. Now the track choice was a poignant one and was delivered as an attempt to protest against the mistreatment of children in the Catholic Church. It was intended to flip Marley's original war on racism and train its crosshairs on the mistreatment the church has been a part of. But during the performance, she stared directly down the barrel of the camera, and while singing the lyrics, "We have confidence in good over evil," she held up a photograph of Pope John Paul II to the camera. At the very moment she sang the word evil, with a flash of intensity, she began tearing up the photo into pieces, throwing them at the camera and stating, "Fight the real enemy." Now SNL had no idea about the stunt she was planning, because during rehearsals, she instead held up an image of a refugee child. Now following the sudden switch, NBC Vice President of Late Night Rick Ludwin stated that after seeing the religious protest from the singer, he immediately jumped out of his chair and the crew scrambled while the production team contemplated cutting the feed. Now due to this, she was banned from SNL, but hey, didn't she have a point? I mean, she was right.
At number 3, Katy Perry. Recently, Katy Perry took to social media to announce that she wants to quit being a judge on American Idol after 6 years over a fear that she's being made to look like a bad guy by the producers. For those who don't know, Perry had an interesting reaction to a contestant revealing she was a mother of 3 and being much older than she looked. In response, Perry stood up out of her chair and almost laid on the judge's table. The contestant Sarah Beth then sarcastically said that if Katy laid on the table, she would die, and Katy responded with, "Honey, you've been laying on the table too much. in reference to her having multiple kids at a young age. At first, everyone laughed and this all seemed in good fun, but following her audition, Sarah announced she would be going back to California to be with her family, claiming she just wasn't cut out for show business. She later took to TikTok to call Perry out for the joke, which was shaming her in a number of different ways. Katie has been defending herself since the video, claiming it was not meant to be harmful, but she's made similar comments and jokes to many contestants over the years.
Up next is Ashlee Simpson. In 2004, Ashlee Simpson was on the rise, and she was the musical act on Saturday Night Live that June. Now, unfortunately though, her SNL performance did not go as planned. She performed her hit single, Pieces of Me, and it went well, but then she returned to the stage to perform her next song when the vocals for the previous song began playing while her mic was down at her side. It was then revealed that she was lip syncing. She then did an awkward jig on stage and later blamed her band during the closing credits. She said, "I feel so bad, my band started to play the wrong song, I didn't know what to do, so I thought I'd do a hoedown. I'm sorry, live TV." Now this was just plain awkward. Her career never recovered as she was booed at her Orange Bowl performance in 2005 and her next two albums failed. Hey, maybe if she owned up to it, people would have had more sympathy, but she just placed the blame on other people.
And at number 1, Donald Trump. In 2006, Donald Trump was known as a wealthy real estate mogul with a hit reality series called The Apprentice. He was recently married to Melania with a 4-month-old baby. However, reports leaked that Trump was actually in the midst of an affair with adult film star Stormy Daniels after she filed a civil suit claiming the contract he made her sign to keep quiet was invalid. Daniels claimed that herself and Trump shared an intimate relationship for roughly a year during his marriage to Melania. These aren't the first allegations of an affair, as Trump has been back and forth in the media since the 70s, being accused by 26 women of mistreatment or misconduct. While these rumors have never held any merit at first, the truth was finally set free. After being the most chaotic president in recent history, it was announced in March that Trump was arrested on 34 separate violations of a New York law against falsifying business documents to conceal another crime. Over the years, he was essentially taking company money and using it to pay off anyone who may have been a threat to him, both personally and politically.